Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with a girl talk, and today I'm basically going to be talking about adulting, early 20s, living alone. I get questions about it all the time, and I thought let me just make that the topic of today's girl talk. I had you guys send in questions and topics on my Instagram. I tried to filter them and turn them into questions and just statements that I'm going to be talking about, and I am obviously sharing my personal experience. You can share your advice in the comments as well, because everyone obviously goes through different things, and I don't think I'm the only person that can give someone advice on these things. I'm turning 23 in like 2 weeks, so this is kind of what I have experienced in the past few years. Let's get into the topics because there are so many, and I feel like this might be a long video. Moving out and living on your own. Last year I ended up moving out with at the time she was my best friend, but I had a roommate. So if you are still a little scared to move out all by yourself, I think it is a great option to look at moving in with roommates or a friend. Not every situation is going to end well. Mine didn't. We are not friends anymore. It just wasn't really, I guess, what I was expecting. Yeah, I mean, it just didn't end up working out, but it was still a great way to move out. I think it's nice when you get to experience it with someone else. It's just nice if you can share that experience with someone, share, the things you do around the house, the things you have to get sorted, phone calls you have to make. If you can do it together, that is really nice. But also keep in mind that it doesn't always work out, and it is very important to find someone that you feel like you can actually live with. Even if you're good friends, that doesn't mean you can live together. I moved into this apartment back in, I think, early October. It was like September, October of last year, and that's when I lived by myself for the first time, feeling lonely when living by yourself. When I had just done that, I really needed it, because I really was just craving my alone time and my own space. I feel like as I've been living here, slowly you start to get used to living alone, but it also can get lonely. I mostly felt very lonely during the winter. I get seasonal depression, so I just wasn't really leaving my house. Luckily, I did have Blue. I have a puppy, Blue. He has been great for me to not feel as lonely. So if that's something you would be open to, having a pet, it doesn't have to be a dog, any pet. If you're feeling really lonely living by yourself, that can be a great way to kind of, add some company into your household. And for me, it really helped, especially during the winter when I was feeling very depressed, to get out of bed, because I had to get out of bed for him. I had to take him out, I had to feed him. So if that's something you struggle with, I feel like a pet could be really nice, because you have a reason to get up out of bed every morning. But it is very easy to get lonely if you don't keep up with your social activities during the week and friends. Like, definitely make sure that you still are seeing people. I feel like my lens is dirty. Hold up. If you're not keeping up with your social life and you're isolating a lot, it gets very lonely. So I would suggest definitely making sure that you keep up with that, even if it's once a week. It was hard for me because pretty much all my family lived outside of the city, so I was alone here all the time. I was able to move my mom over here back in May. That has helped a lot with my loneliness. I guess it also depends on what kind of person you are. I'm very introverted. I don't have a whole lot of friends. Within Rotterdam, I really don't think I have any friends that I would go to hang out with. And then also making sure to go out, going by yourself, going on a walk, going to the park. Now that it's summer, we have a lot more opportunities to do that. I know there's people that live in countries that always have nice weather, but it's not the case here. During the summer, I definitely try to make use of the fact that I can go outside into the nice weather. What also really helped for me, I live in a high-rise building, so during the winter, if you're just in the apartment with the current clothes all day, you kind of forget that there's a world outside, and people are still continuing on with their lives. Going outside, even if it's once a day, going for a walk is really great, just so you don't start disassociating with the outside world. Finding a career that fits you. Obviously, we're talking about early 20s. This is kind of the time in your life when you feel like you have to obviously get your shit together. Either you're still in school or you're trying to figure out what you want your career to be. Go after whatever you are interested in, whatever you're passionate about, and just know that if after 5 years you end up changing your mind and you want to try something else, that it's fine. There's people that will work at a certain job for 30 years and that works for them, but it's fine if you want to change career paths. There's like no way for you to figure out exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're like 20 years old. So I would say just focus on what you're interested in now. See if you can make it your career. Like if you're studying something, focus on that. And maybe when you're 25 or 30, you're like, I don't really like doing this anymore and I want to try something else. Maybe you end up starting somewhere and you grow into a different position or a different job or whatever. You continue to change, especially I feel like once I got into my 20s, like the past 3 years have been so like such a roller coaster. Like I've been changing so much. Every year I feel like I'm a different person. I feel like my interests somewhat change, they develop, I change as a person, different priorities, you know, just kind of go with the flow, but make sure that it's something that you're enjoying and that you're passionate about. External pressure of having to be in a relationship in your 20s. Never been in a relationship. I've dated people obviously, but I've never committed to that. I just don't think it's a big deal. I definitely think when you're in your 20s, like, go out and date and meet people and experience things, and I feel like this is the time to really figure out like who you're looking for in terms of like a partner, if you're even looking for a partner. If you're not, then you really don't have to. I feel like I go through phases where I'm feeling a bit more lonely and I'm kind of wanting to be with someone, and then now I'm kind of like so focused on myself again that I don't really have the time to even think about anyone else. Being single has so many benefits. There's so much ahead of you. If you're able to kind of set yourself up in your early 20s, or at least kind of create a nice stable base for yourself, if that makes sense. Like for me, that means like having my own place, being able to take care of myself, working on my mental health, working on my physical health, just working on me in general, and love will come your way. You might have people around you that are kind of telling you like, oh, when you're getting into a relationship, and just tell them, I'm too busy working on myself. And you're dating around, you're open to meeting people, but you can't plan a relationship. You can't plan to meet someone. You might meet someone and think, oh, this is the love of your life, but they're actually there to teach you a lesson, and then you need to pick yourself back up. Always be open to meeting people, and love will come your way when it's your time. I feel like sometimes people get into relationships just because they want to be in a relationship, but why? Like, think about why you actually want to be in a relationship. Do you want it because people are telling you you need to be in one, or do you want to be in a relationship because you actually want to find your person and have like a healthy relationship and have like a best friend to like be with? Figuring out who you are. People ask me like, oh, how are you able to kind of figure out, you know, your style and who you are and what you like and your job? And the reality is that I haven't. I think you will forever continue to find yourself or figure out who you are. Obviously, at a certain point, you will get somewhere where you're comfortable. Actually figuring out who you are will take forever, and don't focus too much on getting to the end goal. I think what's important is the journey, and just focusing on the journey. That's what I'm doing. Like, compared to a year ago, if you watched a video of mine, I would personally say I'm very different. Maybe you guys wouldn't say so because you only see like a small piece of my life in these videos. But last year, I thought I'd figured out who I was. I was like, I'm really finding myself. And now a year later, I'm like, yeah, babes, I'm nowhere near finding myself. And also, don't feel bad about wanting to change things. I'm not necessarily talking about physical stuff. It can be literally anything in your life. If you feel like something just isn't working out, you want to get to a certain point and it's kind of stopping you from going there, change it. Whether that's a friendship, it's where you're living, it's the way you're dressing, the way you treat people, the way you're eating, the way you're, whatever the fuck it is. You have the control to change it. So do that if it makes you feel better, because it will just help you on your journey and make the journey easier. Am I making sense? Sometimes I don't know if I'm making sense. Realizing you don't have many friends. I think this can sometimes be kind of confrontational when you realize you don't have many friends. And I think it might also be because maybe you're seeing people on social media or around you and you're comparing yourself because maybe they have a big group of friends or they're always out doing stuff with people. But it's good for people to be different, and if you want to have a lot of friends, obviously that would be something to work on. Like, go socialize, go meet new people. But if you realize you don't have many friends but you're very comfortable, wait, someone's calling me. Okay, where did I leave off? I don't remember what I was saying. If you are comfortable with only having maybe a handful of friends, you're, not a huge social person, then there's nothing wrong with not having many friends. But again, if you want more friends, then you actually have to go out and obviously make friends. I personally don't have many friends. I don't really like going out and making friends. I don't like having a lot of friends because there's more people you have to keep up with and text and meet up with, and I just really don't do that. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really don't have many friends, and it hits me and I'm like, damn. But then again, I really also don't mind it because I like just having a small circle. I'm always open to meeting new people, but for me, it's like I really have to have a certain connection with someone for me to keep up with the friendship. Like, I have one best friend, Luca. He's literally my soulmate. I do have friends aside from him, but he's my only best friend and closest friend. How to be comfortable with your personality and accepting your own qualities. This is something that took me a while as well, and it was because I always kept comparing myself to others. I can be very crazy and loud, but only if I'm with people that I'm comfortable with, like my family or my best friend. Besides that, I'm pretty chill. I feel like I can be kind of quiet sometimes. I'm more of an observing person. When I enter a room, I like to first kind of feel the energy, see what everyone is like, and I usually kind of adjust to other people's energy and behavior. And then sometimes I would see, for me it would mostly be work-wise, on YouTube, I would see other YouTubers that were a lot more upbeat and energized and whatever. And then sometimes I felt like I had to be like that to be liked. But I think that, it's actually really nice if you're different than other people. And as long as you're a good person, you don't have to be a specific way. You don't have to be loud or whatever. I used to get a lot of comments oh, can you talk louder? Can you be more energetic? Can you go out and do stuff? It's nice when people are different, and it's nice if you aren't like everyone else, and that's something to embrace. The only thing you should worry about is if you're a good person, if you treat people well and all of that. I feel like those are the personality traits that you should be working on and making sure that they're positive. If you're a quiet person, that's okay. I would say embrace that and accept it and see the good. And if you're a quiet person, I actually kind of would probably like you more than someone that's super loud. And that's personal preference, because that's also a thing. It's impossible for everyone to like you as you are. There's no point in trying to please others. If that's what you're worried about, is that maybe other people won't like you, there's no point in trying to please them, because you're never gonna have everyone like you. As long as you like yourself and you're a good person when you're just being you. And if you feel like the people that are important to you, that you love around you, are able to enjoy your company as well, that's all you really need. Expenses that come along with adulting that I didn't expect. Honestly, everything. Everything is expensive. Groceries are expensive. The cost of living is expensive. There's all these random taxes that you have to pay. Alongside of that, I have my own business. So I basically do I have an accountant, but I have to do my own taxes and stuff. How to make the best out of your alone time. I actually don't know if I want to fully answer this, because I was thinking maybe I could do a video on just some things you can do while living alone, or just when you're alone. I think there's actually a lot of things that you can do by yourself that you wouldn't be able to if you were constantly with other people. Yeah, let me know if you want to see a video on that. Money management, saving, investing, emergency funds, etc. I feel like I'm not the person to give you the right answer, because all of this really depends on how much money you're making. I know Patricia Bright has some really, really great videos on financial advice, and she's actually educated on it. So if I don't forget, I'll leave her YouTube in the description. If not, you can look her up. She also has a budget, Excel budget sheet and everything. Saving money, all of that, it's not necessarily hard to do, but it just depends on how much money you're making. I can tell you right now, save this amount of your salary every month, 30%, just whatever. But if you're making no money at all, you can't save money if you have to eat and shit. I would say check out Patricia's videos for tips on that. I used to be very much on my shit, tracking everything I was spending. I kind of stopped doing it last year because I was just over it. I got a little lazy. In a way, I would say it was good, because I was very aware of what I was buying, and like I really kept up with it. You know, the thing with me is like I grew up with no money, so as soon as I started making it, like you want to like spend it, right? Like I definitely was also very much focused on saving. While I was living at my mom's, all I did was save my money, and I really love, you know, being able to buy whatever I want and all of that. And now I'm trying to kind of, you know, step on the brake and like spend my money wisely. But when you're young and you don't come from money and you all of a sudden start making a lot of money, it's very hard to manage your money and to make sure you're spending it well. But also, you only live once. You know, as long as you're not just throwing out all your money or gambling your money, like I don't think it's a big deal. But check out Patricia. She can give you actual tips on that. What is the hardest thing about living on your own? I think for me, I'm responsible for myself, obviously. I'm also financially helping out my mom. And it's just like a lot of responsibility. And it's not even necessarily like living on your own. I think it's also just kind of like just being single, being on your own, kind of doing everything by yourself. Sometimes when life gets a bit too much, like it's nice if someone would be there to be able to pick things up for you or kind of, you know, help you out in a certain way. And like I don't have that at all. So I feel like for me that's the hardest. But for some people, maybe just the fact that they're alone can be the hardest. I don't really have anyone to catch me if I'm falling. Just so dramatic, but that's exactly what I mean. Like if life gets too hard, like I still have to keep going because there's no one there that can help me out. You know, if I had a partner who I was living with, should I buy a car or a house first? I think it depends on what you need right now. Let's say you're living in a rental apartment and you really need a car to like go to work and do all these things, and I would say maybe getting a car would be smarter because that's what you need in the moment. But if you are able to just, you know, use public transport without any issues and you don't necessarily need a car, then I would say get a house instead. Someone had asked me how I manage my money while living my kind of lifestyle, and like I just said earlier, like I kind of barely manage it. I give myself a salary every month, and that's all I have to spend in a month, and that's just my budget. And I pay my rent, I pay my mom's rent, you know, I pay my like reoccurring bills every month, and then I have an X amount left that I just spend on whatever I'm spending it on that month. And as soon as I get my next paycheck, the money that's still in my bank I put to my savings. That's how I used to save like years ago, even when I was starting to make money on YouTube. But I guess that's the only way I'm currently managing it. I really don't do much else. I do have a little overview of the reoccurring bills every month, just so that I know what to expect and how much money I need to have every month to pay like my important bills, and then anything left over is just spending money and then towards savings. How to handle friendship breakups. You know, obviously this is something that's going to happen throughout your whole life, but I feel like especially in your early 20s, when you're like transitioning from school to work, there's a huge chance you're gonna have some friendship breakups. And I would say just see them as like, I was gonna say milestone, not a milestone, like a growth. And I don't know, like for me, the friendship breakups I've had in the past few years have been such big lessons for me, and I've grown from it so much. And I think it's because I do a lot of self-reflecting. When you do lose a friendship, I think it's important to think about what happened, obviously why you lost them, and also what positive effect it has that you now have lost this friendship. Because I feel like every time I've lost a friendship, the positives were outweighing the negatives. And friends come and go. You know, I believe that people come into your life to teach you a lesson, and sometimes someone's going to be in your life forever because you're growing together and you're learning together and teaching each other things. Like the friend that I lost last year, who I was living with, we were friends for like 5 years or something, 5-6 years, and we basically became adults together. So I think we became friends when we were like 16 up until like 21, 22. So it's really that like part of your life where you're becoming an adult, and we did it together. And so that's why I never regretted a friendship like that, because we've learned so much from each other. And then as soon as it ended, that was such a moment of growth for me, because I realized that's where it needed to end, and I've learned a lot from it. and now I can move on. And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't feel like it's anyone's business, but there was just some positive things about the fact that we were not friends anymore that ended up outweighing the negative, and that's just how it was meant to be. Time management. As you are becoming an adult, you will realize there's not enough. Oh my god. As you are becoming an adult, you will realize there's not enough time in a day to do everything you want to do. So time management is very important, especially if you're juggling a full-time job, friends, maybe school, taking care of a pet, taking care of yourself, your house, apartment, your family, everything. Figure out a time management or planning system that works for you. I'm like a very crazy planner, so I go all out. I will do a video on my Notion sometime soon. It's not finished. It's still not finished. It's been a work in progress. Figure out a planning system that works for you, whether that's like a paper planner, digital, Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever works for you. Even if it's like a whiteboard where you fill in your calendar. That way you can keep up with everything. Also to keep up with your appointments, make sure you don't miss anything, you're not late to things and all of that. How to cope on days when adult life is just too much. Listen to my body and do whatever I feel like I need in the moment. Sometimes that just means laying down and doing nothing. Sometimes it means going out on a walk or meeting up with my mom or having a talk with a friend. Or I also am in therapy, so I feel like that can help me kind of control any like downfalls. You want to keep up with your mental health, and it's important to kind of know when things are getting too much before it gets there, because it's harder to like get out of it for me personally. So I really try to keep track of my own feelings and my thoughts and my mental health. I feel like my hormones affect my mental health a lot during the month, so I'm starting to pick up certain cues and realize when I'm starting to get really hormonal, for instance. And then I also just like to listen to my feeling and kind of do whatever my body feels like it needs. You can't be productive and perfect every single day, and that's just important to realize and not forget. And if you have a day where it's just too much, that's okay. And obviously sometimes you're not going to be able to just do whatever you feel like, but don't forget to take those days off. Keep yourself in check. You're just going to continue to push through even though you're feeling like shit or like something's tearing you down. It's just gonna end up worse in the end. Sometimes you just need to maybe take a day off of work to recoup and recharge, and that's okay. I'm very privileged and blessed in my job. I'm able to basically do whatever I want whenever I want, and that for me personally works really well because my mental health is so up and down. If I were to have a 9-to-5 job, I would be calling in sick so many times. They would hate me there. I would get fired right away. Anxiety about the future. People expect a lot from you, and even me, like I expect a lot from myself, and I feel like I can say the same for a lot of people watching right now. And it's just because we're on social media a lot, and I'm part of it because I'm almost 23, and look at the things that I have right now, the job I have. It's not typical for a 22-year-old to have that, but because we see it so much online, you almost start to kind of feel like you're behind maybe. So if you're my age and you are still in school living at home, don't think you're like behind. Don't have anxiety about, oh, I'm not growing fast enough. I'm not, going as fast as this person, because everyone has their own timeline in life. Go at your own pace. Try to live in the moment. This is something I have to remind myself every single day because I'm such a planner, and like I always look at the future, like what am I going to do in a year, what am I going to do in a month, what am I going to do next week. I'm always looking ahead, but the key is really to start living day by day. You can obviously prepare yourself and work towards something, but you can never exactly plan out what's going to happen. So there's honestly no reason to worry about it because you don't have control. And I know that's where anxiety comes from a lot. My anxiety usually gets triggered a lot when I don't have control. So again, the future is like a topic that triggers my anxiety a lot, and I always have to remind myself that things are going to happen the way they are. I don't know what's going to happen in a year. All I can do is focus on today, work on my goals, and enjoy what I have now. For me, it's like never enough. I always want to work towards something new, where I sometimes forget to like realize what I have now and really like appreciate it. A year ago, I dreamt of being here. And now that I'm here, it feels normal, so I don't really see it as a big deal when this was literally what I was manifesting and dreaming of. The last thing I want to talk about is prioritizing yourself and setting goals. I feel like this is something that I'm going to be showing more in my upcoming content. You are the person that's going to have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. You have to build your life. You have to build your future and everything. The only way for you to do this is by taking care of yourself. If you aren't taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to get to where you want, because either you're mentally not going to be able to, you're physically going to be sick, or whatever it is. Prioritizing your mental health, prioritizing your physical health, your looks and everything. And this doesn't mean that you have to put on makeup and look pretty and whatever, but it's as simple as taking a shower and doing your skincare and moisturizing your body, washing your clothes, washing your hair, especially if you deal with mental health problems like depression, anxiety. These are things that they become very difficult tasks to do. Even though they're like simple everyday tasks, they can become really hard. But prioritizing yourself, also prioritizing your time for yourself. If you have like a bunch of friends that constantly want to see you every single day and you don't end up having time for yourself, that's going to show. So even taking one day out of the week to just be with yourself, take care of yourself in whatever way works for you, again, very important. Setting goals for me helps me keep motivated to keep going. Especially, like I said, I have dealt with depression, anxiety. I feel like my mental health is always all over the place, but having goals set and working towards them keeps me motivated to keep going, because I feel like without goals, I don't ever see a point in life, which is very depressing, but that's how it gets. If I don't have goals that I'm working on, I feel like I'm really not going anywhere. I don't know how to explain it, but like without any goals in life, I feel like I'm working towards nothing. So having goals for me really works, and they don't have to be big goals. You can set a goal of like, next month I want to have read 2 books. I don't know, anything that works for you. You know, everyone has their own interests and things that they want to achieve, but definitely setting goals is a great way to keep yourself motivated and get yourself through these hard early 20s. At the moment, I'm in like a kind of like a self-love journey right now, where I'm really trying to take care of myself, and I'm gonna be making content about it, and so I will be kind of discussing that a bit more in my next videos. But I've been filming for 50 minutes. Next time I do a girl talk, I'm gonna do my makeup and hair just to change it up again. But for this topic, I kind of just felt like sitting down and rambling, and I haven't sat down and talked to the camera like this in a while. But let me know if you enjoyed this video, and if there's any other like girl talk topics that you would want me to do, like not necessarily the questions, but like a topic for like a specific video. Leave them in the comments. If you have any other advice on any of the things that I discussed in this video, you can leave it in the comments. Just be nice to everyone and respectful. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.